Welcome, everyone, to Boxing Scene's top stories only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George DeMattelis. Quick reminder to download the ProBox TV app, where apps are available to get the full ProBox TV experience, which includes the great insights of our world champions. We got Chris Algieri, and we have Paulie Malignaggi joining us here on Top Stories. Well, the World Boxing Association has approved for their super-featherweight champion, Lamont Roach Jr., to move up and fight their lightweight champion, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, next. Now, the fight has not been confirmed amid reports that the bout will take place. It will be a pay-per-view event December 14th in Houston, Texas. All right, Paulie, what does Roach get from this fight beside a massive deposit, direct deposit into his bank account with the money?
An opportunity? I'm not sure. You know, Roach has been a solid fighter throughout his career, but I'm not sure that he's been of the level yet, or at least notoriety-wise, to be in a fight like this. But then again, you know, is he more impressive than Garcia, who Gervonta brought up in weight and had the same championship title a couple of years ago and fought him in a pay-per-view headliner? Yeah, I think Roach is a step up from that kind of opposition. So I guess we're making progress here. I don't know. I don't think this is the kind of fight that should go on pay-per-view, though. That's my problem. You know, I'll always bring up the Oscar De La Hoya situation when he was a bona fide pay-per-view star, but there's certain fighters that if he was going to fight them, the fight wasn't going to be on pay-per-view. If Roach had been a long-standing 130-pound champion with about 5 or 6 defenses of a 130-pound world championship, then I'd say, okay, you know what? Now you've got a bona fide champion who's got longevity at the highest level, and you know, you could, you know, raise some curiosity here with a pay-per-view. But you know, the same thing with Garcia, who had just won a pretty good fight on his own. I think he'd just beaten Chris Colbert, who we're going to have here on October 9th on ProBox on our Wednesday Night Fight series, and then he jumped right into a Gervonta Davis pay-per-view. I don't think that's how you do it. I don't think that's how it should be done. I think it's taking advantage of people's money. But again, it's a trickle-down effect. Canelo does it, so everybody else is going to do it. You know, that's it. You know, you fight anybody you want on pay-per-view. And this is not a detraction from Roach, who I think is a solid fighter. But again, in order to be a pay-per-view opponent, you need a little bit of notoriety to be able to sell that in that way. You know, Davis has his own level of popularity. It's growing. This seems more like a cement your brain kind of thing, like keep him winning, so he continues to look like a winner in the eyes of the public. But I think people at this point want to see more, especially if it's going to be on pay-per-view. I don't mind the fight. I just don't think it should be on pay-per-view.
All right, Chris, what do you make about Roach and what he gets from this fight beside that huge paycheck and all that money deposited into his bank account?
Well, I mean, you're getting eyes on you. You're fighting one of the best fighters in the world today. One of the most popular fighters for sure is Gervonta Davis. It's also an all DC area clash, and I think that's going to bring a lot of eyes from that area. But in terms of,
which is weird, right? Because it's in Houston. It's an all DC fight, but it's in Houston.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree with you, Champ, that making this a pay-per-view doesn't sound very smart. I think if you put this in DC and you look to do a big gate and you put it on free TV, I think it would make a lot more sense. But listen, I'm not here to talk about pay-per-view numbers and who wants to lose money and whatnot. But in terms of the fight itself, it's a hard pill to swallow. I'm happy for Lamont Roach. You know, he fought on our air last fight. He looked great. Looked really, really good. I thought
it's a springboard again for another pro box fighter who's fought on pro box and gotten a big fight out of it.
In that case, you know, I appreciate that. Also, just in terms of his skill set, in terms of the kind of fighter that he is, he's tricky enough. He's shown a solid chin as well. Things that if he can bring those skill sets into this 12-rounder against Gervonta, you know, he can be an issue. He could be a problem. He is good enough to do that. But from a boxing perspective, you look at the lightweight division and you look how many names are there. You look how many great fights are available. Why are we pulling guys up from other weight classes? Well, it's not necessary.
Especially fresh world champions.
Fresh world champions, new to the scene, just got a world title. You don't even get a chance to defend your title. You're just going right to, or you defended it once, and you go right to a pay-per-view fight in the other weight class. It's similar to what they did to me when I beat Ruslan. I beat Pronikov. Next thing I know, I'm flying across the world, moving up a weight class to fight Manny Pacquiao. If with more development, that could have been a whole different scenario for me, and I feel like that's the kind of situation we're in right now. Fight doesn't make a ton of sense because there's a lot of viable contenders to
But
fight
champ,
Davis.
it's not even the same level as you, because you came in, pulled off a huge upset, and made a lot of headlines when you won your world championship. So you actually were a big stamp on the situation. Your name was so hot at that moment because you basically had the upset of the year, had knocked off one of the most dangerous champions in the sport. So there was a lot of momentum behind you. Roach is a solid fighter. I think he's getting better. He's a crafty little veteran. But he didn't win his title like in a major upset. As a matter of fact, he beat Garcia, who went back down to 130 pounds to defend the title after losing to Davis and lost it to Roach.
Yeah, so it makes the fight even I don't know. It's in terms of, like I said, in terms of, what our relationship with Roach, and how close we actually got to study him. Like I actually don't hate the fight, but in terms of the landscape of the division, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Is an upset possible there with Lamont Roach if this fight does happen? Because, like I said, it's just they have made contact and the WBA has sanctioned it, but nothing has been confirmed yet. Is an upset possible there, considering Tank Davis is one of the best fighters in the world?
The issue with Tank is he's not busy, so he loses a lot of early rounds, and you're putting all the eggs in the basket that you're going to score a knockout. And I mentioned earlier, Roach has shown a solid chin. And if he stacks some early rounds and is able to out-hustle and out-finesse and then survive late, yeah, it's possible. We could see an upset. But in terms of what Gervonta brings to the ring, he's so much more experienced, such higher level, much bigger guy, big puncher.
We already saw Davis press a guy who's got a little bit of craftiness to him. We saw that with Frank Martin, who's a bigger guy than Roach. And Roach has a bit of craftiness to him. And Davis can just press you, even if he's not active. He'll press you, mentally press you. He's the bigger guy in this situation. So the physical and mental pressing will also, stress Roach a lot. I don't know if Roach is going to be able to, offset that in any way. Again, he's crafty, but it's George, to answer your question, does he have a chance to win? It would become the upset of the year if he won. Now, do we want to see a fight where the matchup is, if the other guy wins, it would be the upset of the year? Do we have to? Is that what we want to see on pay-per-view? Typically, pay-per-views are supposed to be when we can't figure out who's going to win. It's two guys who are on a collision course, and we want to see the fight for a while. Sort of like maybe Gervonta and Shakur Stevenson. Yeah. Then we'd be like, okay, that's a bona fide pay-per-view. Now we're just putting all kinds of trash fights on pay-per-view, and this is not a trash fight per se. I don't hate the fight like the champ Chris said. I think Lamont is a solid, crafty guy, but he's a smaller guy. He's still new to this scene at this level. He's been around the block for a little bit, so he's not like he's a newcomer and doesn't know how to fight, but he's naturally smaller, has less firepower, has nowhere near the name of Gervonta Davis. Put the fight in D.C. and make it free, but you're not doing it. And again, he's taking advantage you're taking advantage of people's pay-per-view money, but also this trickles down, man. This trickles down from the top of the sport. That's why when you allow it to happen at the top, it's just going to trickle down. So don't complain about when you get your money taken.
Champ, it made me think of a fight that I actually would like, Lamont Roach and Frank Martin. I like that fight a lot better, actually.
It would actually be a nicer fight, but it's a better fight, and that wouldn't even be on pay-per-view. So you imagine, boxing just loves to do this. They just like to pick their stars, and then you just, okay, this guy's going to be a star. No matter what we're going to do, even if we have to rob everybody on the way up, like they do with some guys, and I'm not saying that's what Gervonta did, but I'm saying when they pick a star, he's got to be a star no matter what. That's it. It makes absolutely no sense. Take it to the WWE, guys. Just script it, and that's it. And to let everybody know it's scripted entertainment. Why do we got to call it a sport? At this point, why are we doing that?
Well, hopefully it won't be on pay-per-view. I agree with you guys. It should not be a pay-per-view.
A better shot of hitting the lotto than this thing not being on pay-per-view.
Oh, okay. By the way, back in June, Washington, D.C., a ProBox TV promotion, by the way, Lamont Roach defended his title for the first time with that victory over Fergal McCrory. And, by the way, there is extra confusion on top of this when you talk about the belts and who might keep it and who might have to give it up. That's a different discussion right there. And, of course, we'll keep you up to date on this possible fight between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis here on Top Stories. Don't forget to scan the QR code, like and subscribe, and comment on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to download the ProBox TV app, where apps are available, because you can watch the best live fight series in all of boxing, Wednesday Night Fights, another edition coming up October 9th. You can watch it on the app and on the YouTube channel as well. It's going to be a fabulous night of fights here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I'm George DeMatteis, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
Wednesday Night Fights. Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, October 9th. Chris Colbert takes on Omar Salcido in the main event.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.